Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to today's School Spotlight with ApplyWave. Today I am here with Trisha from Buffalo State, located in the state of New York. Thank you so much for being here, Trisha. We're just going to wait a few seconds to see if anyone joins in live to watch the stream. For those of you who do join us live, remember that you can submit questions at any time. And at the end of the presentation, Trisha will be able to answer some of those questions. So all you have to do is write it in the comments and we'll see them. Also, just know that this will be recorded. So if you have to jump out at any point, you'll be able to come back and watch the rest of this video later. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, Trisha. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for joining. I'm so excited to have you here. Especially, being a school located in New York, but you're not in New York City, which is unique. I want to hear about Buffalo and Buffalo State and everything that it means to be in New York, but not in New York City, New York.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. We're about 45 minutes by plane from New York City. And if you took a car, you could get to Toronto, Canada in 90 minutes.
Oh,
so
wow.
We are on a beautiful part of the lake. We're right on the border of Canada. So it's so nice geographically to be with lots of water and nature. But being the second largest city in New York State, we're truly a metropolitan area with a little bit over 1 million people in the surrounding area. So it's a comfortable sized city with a robust transportation system. So you don't have to have a car if you come to Buffalo State.
Oh, that's nice. That's really good. Good to know. And in Buffalo, I mean, I've heard of Buffalo. I've personally never been. But what's there to do kind of nearby campus? What sort of activities and things can students get into?
Well, I'm glad you asked because this morning I went with my husband to Niagara Falls.
This morning?
New York. So we got to see one of the seventh wonders of the world this morning. We're about 15 minutes by car. They have a nice aquarium, so we got to see sea otters this morning and travel along the gorge and along the river. So there's lots of things to do as far as that. Buffalo is a huge sports town. Right now, we're getting ready for a huge football game tomorrow with the Buffalo Bills and American football, I guess I should say. But football, soccer is very important on campus. We have lots of intercollegiate sports that you can play for fun or for competitive things. So if you're interested in sports, that's a great thing to come. Hockey is very important. We have a lot of students from Canada that come to play hockey. So there's always some kind of sports going on. Buffalo is also very flat, being on the water. And so everyone rides bicycles. Every week, they have about 2,000 people riding bicycles down the streets. As a whole group, they stop traffic so they can do this for exercise and health. So there's those type of things. You can rent bicycles right on campus. And you've got a bus system that it's easy to get around. We've got a museum right across the street from campus and one on campus. So there's a lot of cultural things to do, and being a city on the water, there's a lot of water sports as well. So
nice.
It seems like there's a lot of fun things for students to get involved in.
That's so cool. And going back to the bike topic a little bit, that's really unique. And that's something, as a student, budget is typically tight and not every student can afford to buy a car,
Right.
Especially not even if they're studying in their own town, it's difficult sometimes to get a car. So it's nice. You can just rent a bike. You don't even have to buy a bike. You can rent a bike and get wherever you want to go. So I think that's really cool.
We also give you a free bus pass if you're an undergrad student from freshman to senior year. So you don't have to purchase a bus pass. So you have unlimited to get to we've got 2 malls and an outlet center in Niagara Falls. So you can get around and do all that without any extra money. It's unlimited during the academic year. So that's helpful as well. So you really don't need a car when you live in Buffalo.
Oh, that's amazing. And that's like really helpful as well to know that when you arrive on campus, that's one less thing you have to worry about figuring out, like that's one less thing you have to plan for with your budget. Okay, how much money am I going to need every week to get to class? That's really nice that you guys think about that. And I think that's a great value for international students. Now, being in New York and being so close to Canada, I have to ask about weather. That's something that our students want to know about. I'm from Ohio, so I know winter, but I know in Buffalo, winter is a little bit different. So walk us through the typical climate in Buffalo.
Sure. We like to say that we get to experience all four seasons. We, have the beautiful fall leaves where they're changing colors. And then we have winter where there's a lot of winter sports. People like to be outside. They freeze over the canal, and you can have ice skating. And back to the bicycle theme, they have bicycles you can ride on the ice down there. It's very interesting. So I would say people aren't afraid to live in Buffalo in the winter. We do get some snow, typically from the beginning of November until March. You'll see flurries all the way to a lot of snow. We take the students skiing, downhill skiing, very close. We have an ice rink on campus, so for $2 you can rent a pair of skates and skate around that way. So that's another thing to do that's popular. As far as the spring, that starts in March and goes till May, I would say the temperature, is fairly warmer, but not. You probably want a light jacket. And then in the summer, it is amazing. The temperature is very comfortable. It's not too hot, and that's when there are street festivals happening twice a week during the summer months, because Buffalo wants to be out there and be engaged. So
That's
there's lots of
awesome.
stuff to go on in the summer here too.
Yeah. And, I always tell students, especially, I'm based in Cancun, so it's always warm here year round, but I'm from Ohio, where we also have all four seasons. And, students ask me about that, like, oh, what's it like? And personally, I love all four seasons, and I kind of miss living in a place that has those four seasons, because it's nice. You get a little bit of a taste of it, you get used to the temperature, and then things change and you're on to the next season. For people who like fashion, you get to change out your wardrobe a couple times a year, so that's always fun. But yeah, you get to pull out your sweaters. But what I really like is that even though Buffalo does get some snow and it gets cold in the wintertime, there are things to do. It's not like you're going to be locked in your apartment or in your residence hall with, being bored. You can go out and skate. You can go out and try something you maybe never had the opportunity to do before. So I think that is really nice that you have all those things to offer. Now, just thinking about a typical day for an international student, when students are walking around on campus, what's it feel like? What's the environment on campus at Buffalo State?
So I've noticed living in New York State, majority of my life, a lot of campuses are on hills. Buffalo State is totally flat. So you can get from one end of campus and the other in about 5 minutes. We also have a shuttle that goes around the campus if you don't want to walk. That's possible. But a typical day, you're fortunate that you can pick what classes that you want to take and when you want to take them. So if you're taking a composition class, there might be 8 different sections offered. So you could pick if you want to take it first thing in the morning at 8, or maybe you're a night owl and want to take it at 6 in the evening all the way till right before bed. You'd rather do it just that one chunk. So you have that kind of flexibility. I see a lot of international students try to take classes around 9 in the morning. That gives them a little bit of time to sleep in or study before they come to start their classes. There's a break at 12 o'clock most days. And during that's when a lot of clubs meet. So if you're interested in the Caribbean Club, or if you're interested in the Latina club, or maybe you want to play rugby, different kind of sports, or our international student organization. All those clubs meet around that noon hour, and so you can really get to know each other. Then the classes resume in the afternoon, and then there's a lot of free time in the evenings. And students
I'm sure they'll figure out what to do in the evening.
Right. So we have a shuttle van that goes between one of the large supermarkets. It's called Wegmans, and students can hop on there and pick up things. But we also have about 7 different dining locations on campus. There's the typical all-you-can-eat buffet that's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but there's also a lot of little snack shops that are open. We even have Starbucks in our library, so that's nice. A popular place to have your coffee and hang out and study as well. Our library is 24 hours, so if you're a late night person or early morning person and want to go somewhere to study, there's many different places in the library to study, so that's helpful. The Wi-Fi is throughout the campus, so even if you wanted to sit out at a picnic table on campus and study, you could do that as well.
That's awesome. I love that. Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about the international student population. I want to know, what do the international students typically get involved in? Where are they coming from? Tell me about that population of students at Buffalo State, please.
Currently, we have 100 international students, and they're from 35 different countries. The top 5 countries that we have students from are India and Canada, being so close, and China, as well as Saudi Arabia and Korea. Those are the top 5, but we have students from all over. What I want to highlight is we have a large Caribbean and South American population of students, but perhaps they were born there and came here to live, so now they're considered U.S. citizens. So on our campus, we have a lot of diversity, and I would say 1/3 of our campus are Hispanic students. So there's a lot of cultural things in the midst, in addition to our international students. Our international student organization is a great way for students to get involved in leadership skills, being a president or a secretary or a treasurer, and they can put that on their resume to help build and get jobs. So that's a good thing for them to get involved in. Some actually work on campus. They're allowed legally to work on campus up to 20 hours a week. So they might be in our fitness center working in the residence halls as staff. We even have one international student right now. She checks students in at doors. So all our doors are locked in the residence halls, and we have to have our ID card to swipe in to get access. But she sits there and makes sure the right people are in the building and signing in any guests you might have. So that's one of her jobs. Also, you can work in the library, helping students, or the bookstore, as well as dining locations. So I know your question was mainly about different things on campus and international students, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about employment too with that.
Yes, no, that's super important.
Very important.
Super important. When I was in school, I worked with a fellow international student at the campus rec center. And that was a fun job. And one thing for students, for you to understand, typically the on-campus jobs, they're specifically for students, so they understand a student's schedule. So those jobs can be pretty flexible as far as hours. And typically, once you have your class schedule, your work schedule is also typically for the semester. And so, every day for this job, I work Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5 because that's the time I don't have class. So, universities do help you to be able to work in a way that makes sense with your class schedule. Something else to think about for students, if you're into education and teaching and that kind of thing, a lot of times the language departments at universities hire students to be tutors.
Yes.
I was a Spanish tutor. There were tutors for every language pretty much. So that's another option of things to look into. And then I know with your academic programs as well, there are internship opportunities for students, right? Am I right on that?
Yes, I would say about 70% of our majors, we have 80 majors, but another 60 minors that you can take. So there's a lot of different choices here at Buffalo State. So you mentioned about teacher education majors. I'll mention that really quick. We have a daycare on campus. So a lot of our teacher education majors will work in the daycare to get experience. So when they graduate, they can do the optional practical training where they can stay a year in the US working on their F1 visa. So that's a possibility. Fashion is a huge major. We have about 400 students that major in fashion, and I am so excited about this one to tell you. So what happens is you do 3 years at Buffalo State, and every April we have this huge runway show where the students show their designs. We have this machine on campus that costs $1 million. You stand in it, and it takes all your measurements down to the very, very centimeter of what you do. And then your clothing is cut in the pattern. So then it just has to be sewn. The other exciting thing is they make a lot of their own fabrics and designs and prints. So if you are really into art and want to help do that way, that is an amazing thing. Okay, so the first 3 years at Buffalo State, and then we partner with the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. So you're in Manhattan your senior year, and you're doing an internship, and you end up getting an associate's degree from them and a bachelor's from us. So that is a great opportunity for you to be able to do that. One of our fashion
incredible opportunity.
Yeah,
Sorry, but that's so cool.
It is. Professor Habes also took a group of fashion students when I was helping and working with her with study abroad. They went to the Milan Fashion Week. So it was pretty amazing. They spent the whole semester in Italy, but made sure we did it in the fall when Milan Fashion Week is. They go down to New York City's Fashion Week. They tour New York City and a lot of the designers. And then we have a Buffalo Spree Museum or magazine here in Buffalo. And a lot of our students get coverage of their fashion in there. So it's
cool.
A really neat opportunity for that fashion.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like, I was looking into your, the different fashion and arts programs that you offer at Buffalo State, and I was really, intrigued by some of the unique majors like the printmaking and just that whole side of things. Not only can you study fashion and design, clothing and that sort of thing, but you could be the person who creates the designs that go on the textiles themselves, which I think is really, really cool. And not many schools offer that opportunity as like a major or a minor. So I think that's really, really cool.
I wanted to highlight too, the next biggest major I would say is hospitality and tourism. And it makes sense with Niagara Falls so close. Many millions of visitors come through Niagara Falls and Buffalo throughout the years at different times, whether it's the middle of the winter or the summer is the biggest tourist season. But our hospitality and tourism major, you have your internship while you're in school. We have a restaurant on campus and a hotel associated right across the street from our campus. So you work at both those places to gain that experience. And then a lot of times our students are able to go and get curricular practical training where they might work in a local restaurant or hotel while they're still a student here. And that helps them get the optional practical training, the OPT, when they graduate. So there's lots of those different things with tourism and hospitality. And that particular trip, they take their spring break, that major, and they go overseas. So they've been to Spain, they've been to Ireland,
Paris.
They do all different countries.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Every spring break. So that's a good way for you to be able to see different parts of the world while you're in that major.
That's awesome. That's an incredible opportunity. And then tell me about the STEM program, because I know you have some interesting funding and research and that kind of thing that goes on with the STEM programs?
So our biggest thing is we have the Great Lakes Research Center, and it's for anybody that might be a little interested in biology. We have a boat that you go out on, and you're doing research for the federal government, and you're looking at fish and their different spawning and that type of thing. So that's federally funded, and that's a great way for you to get that experience. So that's one of the STEM majors, but the other ones are engineering, electrical, mechanical, industrial. So we have those majors for you to do, and all of those tend to have internships. So I wanted to mention that as well. Buffalo State has a large amount of undergraduate research, which means we're paying you to do research as a student. So I have international students right now working with that. It could be during the summer or the academic year, but that's an option for people to do that. And it looks really good on your resume when you've been working on a research project. So that would be something to keep in mind, whatever school you pick.
Yeah, that's that real world hands-on experience that isn't included in every type of education program. So that's definitely something that students should look into, especially if they're interested in these sorts of programs that have to do with science and engineering and all of that kind of thing. You're going to need that hands-on experience to show a future employer. It just helps you get your foot in the door. It can also help get, your resume pushed up higher on the list than someone who may not have had any hands-on experience. So that's definitely a huge benefit and huge thing to look for as you are thinking about your different options. Trisha, before we move on, is there anything else you wanted to highlight about the programs available at Buffalo State? Anything I missed?
The only thing I wanted to say is we have a computer information system that people take in undergrad, and then for graduate students, they do a data science analytics program. And I'm seeing people with that 3-semester degree do CPT and OPT, and they are landing jobs left and right. So that's a really hot thing. If you're interested in computers, whether you're interested in programming or in network administration, there's 3 different levels that you can look at. And then some of our students work with Google to do internships. So it's something that if you're interested in that, I would love to put you in touch with Dr. Mazur about that.
That is so awesome. I mean, it's definitely, when I'm talking to students and they have these dreams of these cool, interesting programs. And of course, I want to say, go for your dreams, chase after it, do whatever you want to do with your life. But it's also nice to know that the program you're pursuing has some good job outcomes. So that's definitely a good thing to highlight. If you're interested in computer science and that sort of thing, there's a really awesome track that can help give you more opportunities to get employment faster as an international student, coming out of your major and even during your program of study. So I think that is great. All right. So we already touched on extracurriculars a little bit, getting tongue-tied. So I want to move on to, kind of the requirements. If a student is interested in Buffalo, what do they need to have to get accepted? Do you require the SAT, anything like that?
Great question. Buffalo State is part of a 64 campus SUNY system. So there are 64 different locations in all of New York State, and we're just one of them. Mm-hmm. Our faculty look at Buffalo State as maybe you have nerves or test anxiety when you study. And so we don't put as much pressure on the test. We don't require an SAT for admission at all. But if you do have it, it helps with scholarships. So we have scholarships. Usually our students get $1,000 for their first year for international scholarships. Most students are eligible for that. Then they can be eligible for President's scholarships and other things like that, up to $16,000. So those are things that you can aspire to. We do want a TOEFL or an IELTS exam, but now we're taking Duolingo. we're really flexible about GPAs, so I don't want you to stress about that. It's more important that you're recommended, especially with Mackenzie and her team. If you come recommended to us, then we totally accept you. So I don't want you to
Awesome.
worry about maybe you had one bad term or semester. Still apply, and we'll work with you.
That's
And we
awesome.
also
And
have
that's
an ESL program. If you need just one semester of ESL, you're automatically bridged into our school. So that's also a possibility. So don't let the language stress you out.
Yeah, that's great. And that's one thing I always try to tell our students if they do have a little bit of that anxiety. It's, all we can do is apply, see what happens, and then go from there. And it's great when there's a university that offers that flexibility, but also offers the solution. So if your English isn't exactly where it needs to be, you can do the English program at Buffalo State and you're still on campus. You're not switching around from school to school. That's definitely a huge bonus that you guys have that flexibility in there. And, you're a great option for international students to consider. Now we're about to wrap up. So for any of the students who come in live, if you have any questions, again, feel free to write them in the comments. We will answer those shortly if anybody has any. But while we're waiting for some questions to come in, Trisha, any final words, anything you would like to say to future international students who may be considering Buffalo State or maybe have not considered Buffalo State before?
I think Buffalo State's a great way to start. Maybe you're not really sure what you want to major, but you want to come here and just, try something out. The great thing about State University of New York is you can transfer all your credits easily to any other campus. So if Buffalo is not the perfect fit for you, you want to be closer to New York City, we've got campuses that you can easily transfer to. Not that I want you to leave. And I also wanted to let you know that this was my first semester that my daughter started attending Buffalo State.
Oh, wow.
So it gives a really interesting perspective being a parent as well as recruiting international students.
So what do you have to say to the parents as well who might be watching this?
Yeah, I think Buffalo State's a nurturing environment. We have small class sizes, so the faculty are just an email away. So they're there for the students, checking in. A lot of them are very nurturing, so they go the extra mile to make sure that students are okay emotionally and physically and academically. We have a whole team of free tutoring. So if you get a little bit behind, it's all located right in the library. And it's other students, like Mackenzie mentioned, tutoring Spanish. So you can get hired as a tutor when you get an A in a class for the next time. So that's an option as well. So you're helping another student get paid. So we want you to use the tutoring services. So there's all those the things that you can do. We have a great art program. So, and we love it when families come and visit. And then you get to see Niagara Falls too.
Yes, I just think that's so cool that you went there this morning. You just casually dropped that in like, oh yeah, went to Niagara Falls this morning. That's something like people, fly across the world to see it. I think that is awesome. And by the way, I saw Niagara Falls when I was a kid, and that's the last time I ever saw it. I need to get back to Buffalo and come visit. Yes. Awesome. Well, we don't have any questions coming in, so we're going to wrap up. I'm going to show the viewers who do watch this how to find Buffalo State on ApplyWave. So again, students, both Trisha and I are here to support you in any way we possibly can. So if you would like to talk with Trisha, learn more about Buffalo State, all you need to do is reach out and we will connect the dots for you. And again, thank you, Trisha, so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. So quickly, before we sign off, I'm going to share my screen and show you all how to find Buffalo State on ApplyWave. So all you need to do is simply go into applywave.com. And here on this main screen, this is where you decide what study level you're interested in. So at Buffalo State, we have both bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. So depending on what you're looking for, you can click on either of these tabs. And then here where it says, where do you want to study? Start typing in Buffalo and you'll see it come up. You can either select the location or the specific school profile. So let's go ahead and click search. You can click here and find out more details, see that beautiful campus, read a little bio about the school, see the admissions requirements. But again, remember, these admissions requirements are somewhat flexible with Buffalo State, which is nice. And then for scholarships, we see those requirements. Here you can find a list of programs. And if you wanted to go ahead and move forward with your application, all you have to do is click this blue button. And again, my team and Trisha, we will be the ones behind the scenes helping you with your application. So don't be afraid to go into ApplyWave and test it out, and we'll be here to help. So thank you everyone who joined today's School Spotlight. Thank you again, Trisha, and we will see you all next time.